put your face.
Hello, I want to seize this opportunity to thank you for being a part of Let's Face It with Joe. I hope this program has helped you sharpen your body, mind and soul to make you a better person. Welcome to Let's Face It with Joe, where real people share genuine social and relationship concerns. Today, I will be talking about a very fundamental matter that's disturbing the lives of both men and women, young and old. That silent killer affecting many people in the society is depression. What is depression? Depression, which is a major depressive disorder, is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how people feel and the way you think. More severe cases, the person feels as though an inner spirit has taken over their entire existence. Depression causes a feeling of sadness, and it can lead to a variety of emotional, physical problems and can decrease a person's ability to function at work and at home. Before depression is full-blown, there are signs and symptoms to be aware of. Let's take a brief look at these. Statistics have shown an alarming 6 out of 10 Nigerians in Nigeria are suffering from one sort of mental health issue or another. I know everyone is under pressure, but let's look at a daily scenario of an average middle-aged man living in Lagos, Nigeria, since men are more prone to depression than women. Shola, a bank employee, wakes up next to his wife Kemi at 4 a.m. to get ready for work. There's no light, no water, and the generator is not functioning well. It's raining cats and dogs outside, and he needs to get from Lagos mainland to Lagos Island. Shola's salary won't be paid till next week, and he's left with little or no money. There's so much traffic out there, so the cost of transport has increased due to the bad weather. Tempers are flaring up simply because everyone needs to get to work on time. Shola's clothes are drenched with the rain as he enters the cab, and then, bang! Someone hits the rear of the car. And that took a good 30 minutes to settle. By then, Shola is pushing to get to work on time. The taxi driver drove with emotion because of what had happened and raised the blood pressure of everyone in the vehicle. Then Shola got to work 20 minutes late. He was already stressed and under pressure, and we all know what that pressure of working as a marketer in the bank is, don't we? Just as he began working, he got a call from his wife Kemi to say their daughter woke up with a high temperature and needed to get to the hospital fast. He had school fees to pay and couldn't really cope with any additional financial stress. Shola could not leave the office since the nasty marketing group head from Abuja was around, and Shola had to make a presentation to the executive management. His wife, who couldn't go to work because of their daughter, was angry and told him he was inconsiderate. Wow. Shola had started work at 7 a.m. and finally left the office at 8 p.m. The traffic was so bad he didn't get home till after 11 p.m. His wife Kemi made dinner for Shola but gave him the cold shoulder because of the issue with their daughter and ended up in a verbal misunderstanding. Eventually, Shola lost all appetite and went to bed on an empty stomach, but couldn't sleep for worrying about the presentation he did. They are sacking people in the office every day in his department, and he's afraid he might be the next in line. His blood pressure is rather on the high side, and he has a family history of heart disease and diabetes, but has put all that on one side due to financial difficulties. He eventually gets to sleep at around 1 a.m. No light, sweating with the heat, and ready to start the whole cycle again 3 hours later. Living with this type of lifestyle day in, day out will surely have an effect on Shola's mental health over time. My concerns are, if 6 out of 10 people in Nigeria are suffering from mental health issues, it means we have government officials, armed force officials, teachers, medical practitioners, pastors, and family members all suffering from that condition we know as depression. Even more concerning is the best friend you talk to every day, the colleague working next to you in the office, the spouse living with you and lying in the same bed next to you every night might actually be suffering from mild or manic depression. You don't know because you don't know the signs to look for. Even a person who appears live in relatively ideal circumstances can still be that victim.
Let's face it, put your faith.
Training sessions are available with Joe on relationship, professional and social etiquette, including elocution and diction. For corporate organization or personal teaching, send a mail to the email address displayed on the screen now. And don't forget to tap subscribe to Let's Face It with Joe on the YouTube page.
Let's face it, put your faith.
Depression symptoms can vary from mild to severe and can include feeling sad or having unhappy moods, loss of interest of pleasurable activities once enjoyed, changes in appetite with a weight loss or gain unrelated to dieting, trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, loss of energy or increased fatigue, a decrease in physical activity, sex, slowed movements and speech easily observed by others, feeling worthless or guilty, loss of self-esteem, difficulty in thinking, concentrating or making decisions, and worse than that, thoughts of death or suicide. This is what we call manic depression. As I said, depression can strike anyone at any time, but on average first appears during the late teens to mid-20s. Some studies have shown that 1/3 of women will experience a major depressive episode in their lifetime. The most common time is during postnatal depression, which is shortly after a woman has had a baby. According to the World Health Organization, W.H.O, there are 322 million people living with depression in the world. In the WHO suicide ranking, Nigeria, with 15.1 suicides per 100,000 population per year, is ranked 30th most suicide-prone out of 183 nations in the world. Nigeria also rates 10th in Africa. Come to think of it, why do people have depression? These days we hear of people committing suicide by jumping off the Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos, Nigeria, because they're tired of life and heard that inner voice telling them to jump to their death when they could no longer deal with the harsh realities of life. We hear of school children and university students committing suicide every day because they are battling with depression and can no longer cope with it. Actually, there are several factors that play an uncontrollable role in depression. Biochemistry, certain chemicals in the brain may contribute to the symptoms of depression. Depression via genetics can run in families. For example, if one identical twin has depression, the other has 70% chance of having the illness at some time in their life. Personality traits of people with low self-esteem who are easily overwhelmed by stress or who are generally pessimistic, always seeing the worst in everything, they do appear to be more likely to experience depression. Environmental factors such as continuous exposure to violence, pornography, rape, neglect, all manner of abuse or poverty may make some people more vulnerable to depression. On specifics, the World Health Organization, WHO, in its 2017 World Health Day message, says over 7 million Nigerians suffer from one of the most ignored and misunderstood forms of mental disorder in the country: depression. This represents 3.9% of the entire population, making Nigeria, according to the current dominance rate, the most depressed country in Africa. Can you believe that? Globally, The Seychelles has the lowest number of depressed persons with just 3,722. It also says almost 5 million Nigerians, that is 2.7% of the population, suffer from anxiety disorders such as panic, nervousness, fear, apprehension, and persistent worrying. For Nigeria, with over 7 million depressed persons in the country and the increasing suicide rates and attempts by Nigerians, experts believe the rising suicide trend can be drastically reduced by understanding depression, which they said was a preventable and treatable ailment. They said when understood by society and identified on time, every Nigerian developing the condition can timely seek help before it reaches the extreme consequence. Suicide, the stigma of depression in Nigeria, is something that drives many individuals away from seeking help. W.H.O says depression is not just a feeling of sadness, but a real illness which affects the brain, adding that feelings of sadness could easily go away. But depression is a serious health condition that requires proper treatment and counseling. No matter how life has knocked you down, suicide can never, and I repeat, never be the right way out. I leave you with these few words. Please, 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 don't press that suicide button. Reach out, talk to someone, talk to me. I can even refer you to those confidential professionals who can help you. Gratify and love life. Be positive and keep your hopes alive. I was once depressed after experiencing 2 late miscarriages. It took my brother to just give me a hug and say nothing, and that was the beginning of my healing. No matter whom you are, no matter how prominent you are in the society or position in the country, you are human. Follow me on the social media handles being displayed on the screen now, and remember, don't hide it. Let's face it together with Joe. I must see you next time. Bye.